Now, at the time of this July 25th call, Colonel Vindman, were you aware of a theory that Ukraine had intervened or interfered in the 2016 U.S. election?
I was.
Are you aware of any credible evidence to support this theory?
I am not.
Are you also aware that Vladimir Putin had promoted this theory of Ukrainian interference in the 2016 election?
I am well aware of that fact.
Первое. Второе, как мы знаем, в ходе предвыборной кампании в Соединенных Штатах действующая украинская власть заняла одностороннюю позицию в поддержку одного из кандидатов. И больше того, олигархи некоторые с одобрения наверняка политического руководства финансировали этого кандидата или эту кандидатку, если так сказать более точно. Теперь им нужно наладить отношения с действующей администрацией, и тоже через конфликт это всегда лучше, это всегда удобнее, легче втянуть действующую администрацию в решение украинских проблем, ну и наладить таким образом какой-то диалог.
So this falls into a long pattern of deflection and of the Russian government trying to pin the blame on someone else. And as my colleague Mr. Holmes here has laid out, the Russians have a particular vested interest in putting Ukraine and Ukrainians and Ukrainian leaders in a very bad light. All of the issues that we started to discuss today and that you on the committee have been deeply involved in began with Russia's illegal annexation of the peninsula of Crimea from Ukraine in 2014. In response in 2015 and all of the different acts of aggression that Russia has engaged in since, starting a war in the Donbass, shooting down Russian operatives, a plane MH17 over the Donbass at a later period. There is a great deal of hostility and malign intent towards Ukraine, and it suits the Russian government very much if we are also looking at Ukraine as somehow a perpetrator of malign acts against us.
Again, I can't speak for what President Trump thought or what others thought. I would just say that those elements that you've recited don't seem to me to be the Ukrainian, kind of a plan or a plot of the Ukrainian government to work against President Trump or anyone else. They're isolated incidents. Mm-hmm. We all know, I'm coming to find out myself, that public life can be, people are critical. And that does not mean that someone is, or a government is undermining either a campaign or interfering in elections. And I would just remind again that our own U.S. intelligence community has conclusively determined that those who interfered in the election were in Russia.
Have you ever heard of the Black Ledger?
I have.
And the Black Ledger, is that seen as credible information?
Yes.
The Black Ledger is credible?
Yes.
Bob Mueller did not find it credible. Do you dispute what Bob Mueller's findings were? They didn't use it in the prosecution or in the report?
I'm not aware that Bob Mueller did not find it credible. I think it was evidence in other criminal proceedings, and its credibility was not questioned in those proceedings, but I'm not an expert on that matter.
So the motivation for Lyshenko, as was reported to, was to go after a Trump campaign official and undermine Trump's candidacy. Are you aware of that?
If you mean by the release of the Black Ledger, I think Lyshenko's motivation was the same motivation he's always expressed, which is to expose corruption in Ukraine.
Right, but he's admitted motivation was to partly at least undermine the Trump candidacy that he did not support.
He has not said that to me. If he said that to you, I'll take your word for it.
And you're aware that you heard Dr. Hill's testimony